Good afternoon, and welcome to a playthrough of Stonewall Sword, the Battle of Cedar Mountain. This is a Revolution Games produced game, designed by Herman Luttman and developed by Fred Manzo. This is an older title that's been out for quite a while. It's the start of the blind sword system, as many may know as they watch. Putting together this little playthrough of the first scenario for the 160th anniversary of the battle here on the 9th of August 2022. So I'm going to play through the first scenario, just a small one here for the anniversary, and give you a flavor of what it's like, and hopefully be a nice commemoration to the battle that took place 160 years ago. Now, as you can see, I've got the setup here. Everything's all set up. We've got the Confederates here to the south. We've got the Union to the north. So this is General Banks's troops up to the north. Jackson's troops to the south. Set up here for the first turn, which is going to be 5:40 p.m. on the 9th, when the units were getting close enough to engage. I wanted to play a smaller scenario here to get right into the engagement. Didn't want to do a longer scenario. Hopefully get this in and be able to see this and put it together in a reasonable amount of time to see this. I'm going to do a lot of highlights. I'm not going to go through a lot of the detail of pulling chits and working on strategy, but when it does come to some of the more exciting pieces, once they go into close combat or an interesting fight for a victory point location, or some other interesting action that's going on here, I will put that in there and try to put it in context. But most of the time, I'm probably going to be summing up what each turn looked like, with hopefully a little bit of color in between of specific actions as they go along, and kind of give you a flavor of the whole thing. And hopefully we'll see if it plays out like the real one that happened 160 years ago, or if we get a little bit of a different variant to it as well. So be interesting to see. But a couple other things I make note of. As I said, this is a small scenario. The map is limited. As you can see, I've got my little tokens over here to show the line that the both sides cannot cross. I'm also using the victory counters that you can get out on BBG, print out and create. Those are quite handy. Also, even though I like the shaken and disrupted tokens, I'm actually going to be using chits to represent this. I've got red for the disrupted and yellow for that. I find that makes very good because I can put that right underneath, much like how the guys recommend it. I can still see the unit, but I can see the red and yellow in there, when it's appropriate. So I will be using these. I'll also be marking the artillery when it shoots with purple markers, just so you remember who's fired and who's not on there as well. So you may see those crop up there, and if you do, that's what they're all about. Not using any optional rules. Like I said, it's the first scenario, so I'm not really using any of the Stonewall's Bad Day or Ricketts Division coming in. Again, just a simple play to commemorate the anniversary there. So with that, I will get to it and start getting things set up and start showing you some action. So, as I said, you may see some snippets here if action gets hot right away. Otherwise, I'll sum things up at the end of turns, and you'll see how the units are working and see how the battle is progressing from there. So, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, back with the first excitement of the day. First turn, the battle started off with the artillery segment, And with the special rules with this one, with the artillery segment, the Union has a chance to battle warn several Confederate units, and they were successful. Part of Garnett, Taliaferro, and Early's troops were battle worn, but at the same time, the Confederates were able to reduce Knapp, McGillivray, and Best in terms of their artillery effectiveness. Again, that's not necessarily battle damage. That could just be loss of low ammo on there as well, given the amount of action that was done. Regular artillery segment was inconclusive, fired, but not much action there. The other special action for the first turn here is that the Union gets to select the first chit of the turn, which in this case was selected Williams, and they in turn selected Crawford for the attack. Now, Crawford was set up over here, and they have advanced down to a line right about here and trying to flank Garnett. And I've started the video back up here because I want to kind of show you the action here and show you what happens with this. So I think with that kind of introduction to it, what I'm going to do is pause for a second, reposition the camera, and have you see the action between Crawford and Garnett in close quarters. And you can see what happens. Okay, so I've centered in on the action here. So the Crawford's brigade has moved up. So we've passed the fire phase, we've passed the movement phase, we're into the close combat phase on here as well. So as part of the close combat, we're going to have the 46th PA attacking the 1st PA, and then we're going to have the 5th Connecticut and the 28th New York team up to go against Garnett, or to go against the 42nd Virginia of Garnett's brigade. So we'll go with the 46th against the 1st VA as the first attack. So defensive fire. So defensive fire is the first action here. And this is where Garnett, which has 2 strength points, will fire at Crawford in the woods. So he starts on the 2, gets a downshift of 2 for the target being in the woods. So he winds up on the C column. Let me just show you what that looks like way over here. We'll see what he gets. So 43. That is a miss. So it's a complete miss on Garnett. So now we've got the close action by the 46th PA. So they're going to start on the 10 column, which is this column right here. And we do have some significant shifts. If you notice, Garnett is a 2. The 46th, the 1st Virginia of Garnett and the 46th of Crawford. Crawford has 10 to their 2, which is definitely greater than 3 to 1. So there's going to be a +3 shift there. So that brings them all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 17 column. And then in terms of cohesions, Crawford is unsupported, so he's a 3. Garnett is unsupported, he's a 2. So there's going to be another shift for Crawford going up to the 20 column. There's no slope there, so there's nothing else. So it's going to be an attack on the 20 column. 35. So that's going to wind up right here. Garnett's a 2, so it's going to be on the yellow. And that's going to be a tough result. And then he rolls a 56, which is a depletion, and then a break test, retreat 3. Okay, so that's a heavy, heavy damage on 1st Virginia. They are broken, flipped over. They need to do a break test. Now they're a 1, so they need to roll a 1. Anything else, they will be on the broken track, and they're on the broken track. So 4 minus 1 is 3. They wind up on the 3 broken track. And retreat 3, but there's nothing left to retreat, so that is that. So now the 46th PA is going to advance into that house. So we've got a little bit of a breakthrough already by Crawford. The next one's going to be the 28th New York and the 5th Connecticut against the 42nd Virginia. The 42nd Virginia does get defensive fire. And of course the 48th is right next door. They could actually help do defensive support fire. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to break up this attack a little bit. So the 42nd will fire at the 28th. So there are 5. They stay on the 5. Target is not in the woods. It's not skirmish, cornfield, or anything else. So it's going to be on the 5 column. That's this one right here. Rolls a 25. I believe that's going to be a miss. 25. It's 0 to 1. He is going to be a 4. So he's okay. So now the 48th Virginia is going to try to take a shot at the 5th Connecticut. 5th Connecticut, interesting note on the 5th Connecticut. That's one of the long-term regiments that survived throughout the war. Not only here at Cedar Mountain, but went on to serve in the 12th Corps in the east, and then 12th Corps in the west, and all the way through the Atlantic Campaign when they were reorganized again, and all the way to the end of the war. They actually went on for about 3 to 4 years of service, in the Union. Quite a long history, quite an interesting regimental history on that as well. So anyways, back to our battle. 48th taking a shot at them. So they're on the 4 column. So that's this here. And they are not in woods. The dry creek doesn't mean anything. It stays on the 4 column. So with that, rolls a 33. And that's another 0 to 1. They're a 5, so they're safe as well. Oh, I made one little mistake there, didn't I? That's defensive supportive fire, so that should be on the 2 column, not the 4 column. So, anyways, no effect at all. So now we go on with the attack. The 5th Connecticut is going to actually lead the charge against them. So they'll be on the 9 column to start. Now with both of these units teaming up, that makes 16 versus 5. So that puts them on the 3 to 1. So it gets a 3 column shift. So it goes to 10, 12, 14 column. And then it's going to be in woods, which, we need to check for cohesion. So these two are supported. So the cohesion is going to be 5 there. He is unsupported, so he's down to a 2. So they're going to actually get another +1. The Union will get another +1 to 17. And then, what else do we have here? They are on higher ground, higher sloping ground. So that'll -2. So we'll go from the 17 down to the 12. And that'll be it. So it's going to be on the 12 column for the Union attack. They roll a 1-6, rolled pretty low on the 12 column. So we got a 0 to 2 or blank. So now let's take a look at 42nd Virginia. They are unsupported, so they're a 2. So this is going to actually be on the the routine track for the damage. Let's see what that turns out to be. 6-3. So it's a D2 and then retreat 2. All right, so the second D on them causes a break test. So let's roll a break test on them. They are an unsupported 3, so they need 1 or 2 to stay in the game. They roll a 3, so they are knocked out. And 3 minus 2 is 1, so they wind up on the broken track number 1. Okay, so the retreat is canceled, of course, because they're not there. So now the advance. I think what we'll do is have 28th New York move up over there, like so. Or actually, no, sorry. Let's make it the 9th. Or, excuse me, 5th Connecticut. They'll move up like that. Okay, so that's all the attack. Pretty effective for the first turn, or first chit pull. Crawford making some advances, kind of blocking out this victory hex. Pushing back Garnett pretty severely. 2 units on the broken track. They've headed back off of there. So now it'll be the Confederate response, and we'll see what happens from there. So I'll be back on if something interesting comes on here. So we'll see in a little bit. So we're back again. Another interesting situation has come up. Winder has activated, and he had failed his activation and selected Garnett to take a limited activation, meaning the 48th and the 21st Virginia can only fire at the 5th Connecticut. So they're going to take a couple of shots here to see if they can dislodge them, push them back, or hopefully even damage them. So we'll start with the 21st Virginia up on the hill. So they'll be on the 4 column to start. They are firing into the woods, so that's going to be down 2. So they're going to be down to the 2 column. I don't think there's anything else going to come on there for them. So it's going to be on the 2 column. Roll a 64. That is 0 to 1, 2 to 4. Now, Crawford, or excuse me, 5th Connecticut, is actually a 4 because they're unsupported in the woods. So they will have to take a routine check. They roll a 2-2, so that's going to be nothing. They hold. All right, so now we'll go over to the 48th Virginia. Take the same shot, similar shot. They'll be on the 4, reduced to 2 for the woods. Roll a 33, that's going to be a miss. All right, so that was a big miss. So Garnett's response to Crawford's initial assault, not that great. 2 units off the board. Their return fire does register a hit, but the 5th Connecticut holds out and is able to hold their ground on there. So we move on from there. So back with the end of turn 1, 5:40 p.m. So after those couple of interesting attacks and counterattacks, not much actually went on after that. A little bit of moving up for the Confederates, and a lot of failures to move for the Union. Looking at what occurred after Williams' initial attack, Gordon, did not activate and was able to just stay there. Garnett, as we saw, attacked. Then Fortune of War came up, and Banks was away from the field. I think he was back trying to talk and get Ricketts to come up, and wasn't activated. And the same thing happened with Green. Green was not available as well. So a lot of those reserve units did not make it into the battle. Most of the focused action was right here where we've zoomed in, and everything happened right within here. Who did move up? Geary did move up on the brigade reserve movement and positioned along the road right here, hopefully to support Crawford's attack, seeing as Gordon is stuck back there. 5th Connecticut, which was up here, was forced to withdraw. They got misorders or misinformation and pulled back away from here. So that was a little bit of a win for the for Garnett's units to hold out that little salient that it has right there along the Culpeper Turnpike. Prince as well, he seems to have a little bit of command confusion and wasn't able to advance up the road. So there's a lot of still reserves in the background and still there. Just a couple of units have positioned for the attack. It would be Crawford and Geary, with Crawford having the most success. On the Confederate side, Early over here did activate, regrouped, and fixed his 25th Virginia, dressed the lines on those. Ronald activated over here of Winder's group and advanced up, but was a little fatigued and didn't advance as far as he would like. But one of the benefits that came up is that the 2nd Virginia and the 4th Virginia spotted the 3rd Wisconsin up here and decided to take it upon themselves to charge them and try to push them off to secure the other flank of the crossroads. So they charged and gave a rebel yell, pushed them off, as you can see, reduced them, and they had to retreat on there. So they've kind of restabilized the line over there. Ronald's other units, the 5th, 27th, and 35th Virginia, struggling through the thick woods, through this little ravine over on the side. Taliaferro in the middle failed to get his orders, did not get up, get moving at all, and was kind of stuck back here. From Hill's position, Branch came up and was supporting him, supporting the center. Thomas just stayed where he is right now, given the amount of troops that are in front and what was going on in there. So that's the end of turn 1. Hopefully you've enjoyed seeing this a little bit. We'll move on to turn 2 and see how the battle goes.